All right, this is my fucking shit, dude. This is my shit. Fracking can decide to vote in this crucial swing state. So, I wonder if they'll talk to that fucking mayor, dude. That, like, what's his face? The Democratic mayor who's, like, Mr. Fracking. They probably will. Very charismatic guy.
Dan Russell lives an hour outside of Pittsburgh, where he doesn't drink the water from his tap.
Here it is in the water. After they hosed it off, you can still see the shit floating around. That's just one of the spills.
When fracking started,
the mining mayor. No, I thought he was Mr. Fracking. He's a miner. Isn't he a fracker now? I thought he used to be a miner, but now a fracker. I think I've been watching you too much. I just woke up to a dream where I was watching a video of some racist show talking about some fictional African country which are split into a bunch of states based on tribe affiliation. It was using this as proof that black people are inherently violent, have tribe mentality. Jesus Christ. Have better dreams, dude. Why can't you have normal dreams like, I don't know, me having sex with you or something? Like half the fucking people that DM me telling me that.
6 years ago, Russell's life changed.
That was on a well site, so they tried to hide it with the sand.
Where's the closest frack pad to your property?
1,000 yards that way.
How does that impact your life?
So we dealt with the light, we dealt with the noise. The grids in my windows actually would vibrate during drilling.
Have you had negative health impacts due to the fracking?
Early on, when they were drilling, we had a lot of issues. The odors, I mean, we had some nosebleeds early on. I think it was drying us out, or so, I don't know what was going on. We had DEP here quite a bit with no help. I feel like I've been fucking violated. That's how I feel. This is bullshit. This is supposed to be America. And you can't get help even from the people that's supposed to be helping you, that we pay in our township or in our government, that's supposed to be overseeing these people, and nothing happens.
When you say, like, the American working class is fucking stupid, you're also talking about this guy. And I don't know what his education level is, but it doesn't fucking matter because ultimately he knows what's best for him. Okay? Also, this is what I mean when I say Pennsylvania is Pennsyltucky, for the record. But also, much like Kentucky, there are obviously people who know what's best for them and know what they want. And unfortunately can't get help from either party. But yeah, Pennsylvania is Pennsyltucky as fuck.
Obviously, this has had a huge impact on your life and your property and your home. What would it take for you to feel safe living here and for your home and your property to be a place you want to live?
I don't want to live here. I'd rather get out of here. I mean, to be honest with you, anymore, I live on memories because I was born and raised out here. But the area is so divided now since the industry moved in.
Bro, I went to Rutgers. Why do people from Philadelphia think I'm going to fucking defend Philadelphia? There's people in the chat from Philly. They're like, oh, dude, hold on. Philly's not like this. Like, bitch, I know. And I still don't like it, okay? Oh, Jesus Christ. Philadelphia sucks, dude. All the cucks from southern Jersey, like Cherry Hill and shit, acting like they're actually from Philadelphia. Cheesesteak is pretty good, though. Worst take, I'm unsubbing.
It's just so divided. I mean, neighbors that used to talk and get along with each other don't because of the industry being either you're for it or against it.
Fracking is the process of breaking up rock to extract pockets of natural gas. It's been sold as the answer to the U.S. energy crisis and also linked to environmental damage. Pennsylvania has one of the largest natural gas reserves in the country. It covers about 2/3 of the state.
This is kind of new to Pennsylvania, and I'm not all totally against it. But
yeah, you know what else is going to be new to Pennsylvania, dude? Aside from, you know, your water supply no longer being clean. Earthquakes. New to Pennsylvania.
let's at least regulate it. Let's talk about the messes that we're making. Let's clean it. Let's do this right. Let's do this right. I work construction union my whole life. I have a lot of friends that benefited from gas industry. Okay? But the
He's just a NIMBY moron. Dude, looking at a fucking construction worker in the middle of Pennsylvania and considering him a fucking NIMBY because he doesn't want fracking to happen is peak Matt Iglesias neoliberalism. Like, you have to be out of your fucking mind to look at a guy who's like, I don't want to. Oh my God, I just found a new character. Matt Iglesias talking about North Dakotan indigenous population like the Sioux tribe as NIMBYs because they don't want the pipeline. Oh, I'm sorry. Water protectors are literally NIMBYs, sweaty. The pipeline is going to bring so many economic opportunities to North Dakota. Oh, that's so good. Oh, Jesus Christ. This guy was 100% pro fracking until it kicked in his door. Most likely. But now he's not. So let's go along with that.
Regulation.
NIMBY means not in my backyard. Okay? There is NIMBYism and YIMBYism. YIMBYs are yes in my backyard neoliberals. NIMBYs are not in my backyard neoliberals. They are like, NIMBYs are the ones who are like, I don't want any fucking development in my area because that means like, you know, if there's like low income housing being built, that means black people are going to live here. That means that the property value is going to get driven down. YIMBYs, yes in my backyard, are people who are like, no, we should build low income housing, which by the way, I don't disagree with, even though low income housing or at least access to housing is not necessarily the problem. The real problem is the fact that there is vacancies. There's vacant properties all over the place and the housing market is fucking broken fundamentally. But yes, in my backyard, YIMBYs just want massive fucking developments everywhere as though that's going to fix the problem. A lot of those developments are luxury high rises in places like Los Angeles that are also empty. And both of them are wrong in different ways, and both of them are right in certain ways. Yeah, YIMBYs like gentrification and property development, and they are like, no, fracking is good, I guess, in this guy's backyard. Yuppies are young and up and coming. What are yuppies? I forgot. Aren't they young, up and coming something? Young urban? Oh, young urban professionals. Young urban professionals. I fucked it up. My brain is doo-doo. I really didn't sleep well last night. Young urban professionals are yuppies. WASPs are another term I use is WASP. WASP means white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Need to be changed drastically for the little people here too. What are we leaving our kids?
About half of Pennsylvanians support fracking in their state, including
It's not urban, it's upwardly mobile.
25% of Democrats. Both presidential candidates support it too, at least for now.
I'll keep your jobs in Pennsylvania where they belong, and you're going to be doing fracking for a long time.
Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, on the other hand, wants to phase out fracking long term.
Well, fracking has to continue because we need a transition. We're going to get to net zero emissions by 2050, and we'll get to net zero power emissions by 2035.
Officials in the small town of Braddock don't think that answer goes far enough.
I'd like him to address environmental issues head on. Right now, he's on both sides of the fence, and I'm like, you got to make a decision here.
What do you mean he's on both sides of the fence right now?
By saying I want fracking to continue, but I don't want more of them to happen. He's on both sides of the fence because you can't be against the problem and contribute to the problem too. That's not a solution.
Natural gas extraction poses a new threat from the nearby U.S. steel mill that wants to start fracking on their property. Do you have any purview as the mayor of Braddock to tell the steel mill that you don't want to see fracking around here?
I could tell them that I don't want to see fracking, but they don't have to take my word for it. Every time I say that I think fracking is a bad idea, they say if we can't frack, we're going to have to lay some people off.
What is your response when they say that?
I think that sounds like ransom.
Sorry, just to be clear, why don't you have any authority over that?
Braddock is a municipality and it is a weak mayor system. I can make recommendations, cut ribbons. I oversee the police department, but I don't have a vote on things once they come out to council to vote on. I can break ties, but I don't get to really make any decisions. I can just recommend things until my face turns blue.
Do you see any benefit?
I mean, we need a lot more construction so that we have more units available in LA, and we need to remove a lot of the restrictions around permanent supportive housing in LA for the homeless. It costs $400 to $500K per person currently. The problem with Los Angeles is that every new fucking property that is developed is just gentrifying pre-existing neighborhoods, and it's luxury high-rises, like luxury condominiums in high-rises. So you're not fixing the fucking, it's not like you're building public housing. And you're doing that at a time when there's millions of fucking empty homes. This is the problem. Or not millions, but thousands of empty homes. A lot of LA doesn't have legitimate rent control. That's true. I mean, even though there is rent stability in places like WeHo, in certain parts of West Hollywood at least. Or even in like Brentwood, if the apartment is from like pre-1960 or something, like the last time they had rent stability, rent control. My wife works in the Bay, creating nonprofit 100% affordable housing, so it helps, but not a lot because there's so many homeless. Yeah. LA seems like an unsustainable place to live for anyone who isn't a millionaire. It literally is not a sustainable place to live for anyone who isn't a millionaire. You couldn't be more wrong. I work for an affordable housing developer in Los Angeles. What do you mean I couldn't be more wrong? Explain how I'm wrong then. Are you saying that like your boss is actually building affordable housing? And by the way, I didn't even say affordable housing. I said public housing. You hear the word that came out of my mouth? Because it wasn't fucking affordable. It was public. Okay? Which is not even a concept that we believe in. No, I didn't open my P.O. box yet. We should focus on densifying affluent suburbs instead. This will help reduce urban sprawl, reduce GHG emissions, and encourage racial equity in housing. Doesn't just increasing the overall supply of housing help, though? Even if it's luxury high-rise being built, that should drive down costs for lower tiers? No, it doesn't. Especially because for a lot of these people, the losses are covered in most circumstances, and they could just keep it empty. I don't know how. Isn't this part of the reason why the California is now trying to increase taxes on like vacant homes? Isn't there like a vacancy tax now? There's foreign investors as well. That's a huge problem. Can't believe I sound like a fucking xenophobe, but I mean, this is a problem in any urban area. I'm an urban planner with a focus on housing. Hasan has a good take here. There are lots of problems with making public housing because it's often state-sponsored gentrification. Most of these development displace low-income individuals. Enough empty homes in San Francisco for every homeless person in CA to spare? Yes, in the San Francisco metropolitan area alone, there's like, I think 2 times the empty vacancies than there are homeless people in the entire fucking California state. Section 8 housing is not a good enough solution, unfortunately. There's not enough of it. I mean, you could build it. You could build Section 8 housing. But most people refuse to do it. So in that sense, Yimbys are correct. As long as a significant chunk of powerful people, and more importantly than that, private equity has an stake, an ownership stake in enough development, in enough property development, and is invested in maintaining the current pricing structure of the housing market in an urban landscape like Los Angeles, we are not going to have the proper solutions necessary to solve something like homelessness. Because a lot of the problems, like homelessness, is created because people are priced out of there because people are priced out of their housing market in an area where they have to fucking work and they don't have the means to be able to move out. Or even if they move out and move into an area that's cheaper for them to live in a place like Los Angeles that's super fucking spread out, where public transit is pretty much non-existent, it's very difficult. You ruin the quality of life of people, and they can't even they can't continue surviving in the way that they do, even though there is still a need for people in the service industry. Have you considered moving? Me? No, I love Los Angeles, but I can also afford to live here. That's another thing. You know what's the difference between public and affordable housing, right? DC has both. Most cities now have both, but it's not the developers who are the issue. Many of them don't have the cash. It's the underwriters. They won't fund projects if you build affordable units in DC. Yes, I do know that there's a difference between affordable housing and public housing. Yeah. And there are more homes than homeless people in this country. It's just a matter of allocation of resources, not about scarcity of that resource. Anyway. Jeff Bezos could resolve the homelessness in this country and still have $150 billion left over. San Francisco would rather spend money on rounding up and busing homeless people to other cities rather than just giving them housing. Yeah. How did you afford to live in LA before you got big on Twitch? I literally lived in the fucking kitchen of a frat house. And then after that, I had a fuckload of roommates, always. I had 3 roommates until 2 years ago. Like, as a fully developed adult grown-ass man, I live with 2 other grown-ass dudes. Why are you doubting our efficient and robust economic system? How are we able to reallocate resources such as private citizens' extra homes? One way to do that is by increasing the tax burden on vacant homes to a degree that it's like literally unaffordable to be a landlord. Okay? That's one immediate way that you can reduce vacancies, so that they are forced to sell at cheaper prices, because it's just way more expensive for them to hold on to that house and wait out until the value appreciates. But I'm sorry to admit this, and I know that there are mom and pop landlords. People are going to laugh at me and say, like, shut the fuck up. A lot of leftists are going to laugh at me and say, that's not a real thing. What do you mean mom and pop landlord? What I mean is, like, people that have like one fucking extra unit that they're renting out, and that's like a big part of their income, their yearly income. Stop saying that. I mean, but it's the truth. Like, it's literally the truth. It's one way that our system allows you to have stability for your future, and for a lot of fucking grandparents and shit, or a lot of people's parents and shit, this is literally the only way that they can have stability within this system that has written the rules for them. It's literally true, whether you consider all landlords to be leeches or not, and there is truth to that sentiment. You also have to factor in that reality. Now, having said all that, the people that I'm talking about aren't people that are sitting on vacant properties waiting for the property value to increase so they can sell it because it's their investment. It's a lot like having a 401k. Exactly. And just like having a 401k, you don't really benefit from the housing market prices increasing, but you certainly take a hit when they decrease. I rent from a literal mom and pop landlord. It's the only way I can afford to live within walking distance of my job. Private equity and real estate usually oversees how Section 8 policies are formed. Of course, they want to make the area nicer in the short term to increase their real estate values. They never allocate enough money for maintenance or upkeep, so years down the line, developers can swoop in and develop mixed income housing. Most of these mixed income housing units are not required to even offer housing to those displaced. I stayed in a split house in New Orleans that my landlord lived in the other half. That's way different than a slumlord of a bunch of properties. Yep. I know some who were able to buy in cheap and land in Austin like 10 years ago, and now there are lots of units that are worth tens of thousands. A big problem in New York City is that investors require landlords to come up with additional collateral if the rent drops below a certain amount. So a ton of businesses are going under so the space can sit empty and maybe regain its value. Jesus Christ. Expropriation is the best answer? Okay, expropriation is how you lose the fucking messaging battle, especially at a time when there is no energy, no motivation, or no fucking people, enough people that even know what that word means. And the ones that understand what that word means or learn about what that word means will turn around and get fucking terrified at, Red Scare era scare tactics. Okay? Even though there can be no end to exploitation without expropriation. That's the truth. I guess most people realize that a lot of people don't actually live in LA. A ton of surrounding more affordable cities like Glendale, Downey, or the Valley. Literally all the places that you're mentioning are currently in the process of being gentrified, where the housing market there is also making it unaffordable. This is at the heart of the problem that we're talking about. You expand into like border towns, okay, in the greater metropolitan area. You expand to cities in the greater metropolitan area, and then those cities also see an increase in their fucking housing market prices. Do you think some areas should be specifically for high income people? Should low income people be able to live in Beverly Hills or Malibu or just LA in general? No, I don't think there should be areas specifically for high income people. I think that a fundamental flaw in the way that we develop cities in the United States, a fundamental flaw in city planning, is making it so that there are high income areas and low income areas. It is at the heart of the inequality that we experience in this country, especially when property taxes are also associated with how your education system in that area is funded. It literally touches on every other significant problem that you experience. That's why segregation was reinforced through redlining. The difference is that in Los Angeles, specifically after 2008 financial crisis, we saw a massive concentration of rental unit ownership with a very few number of slumlords. We will likely see something similar happen again as small landlords struggle to afford their mortgages. Yup. That is currently what's happening. And guess what? I'm willing to bet that hedge fund managers and private equity will be able to justify getting subsidies from the government to be able to buy out small landlords that can't fucking pay their mortgages, right? And justify being able to buy that out with some of the subsidies that they got from the government in the form of stimulus packages so that they can, readjust housing market prices in an effort to prevent a housing market crash. This way, prices don't need to be lowered, right? This way, rent doesn't need to be lowered in places like Los Angeles because, hey, we're buying them. That way, you increase the stranglehold on home ownership that already is, what is like the personal home ownership percentage in America is like grossly lower than anywhere else. I live in the Valley and it's expensive as fuck. There's literally a Whole Foods with fucking nice ass empty apartments being built everywhere. It's so fucked. But the issue is that poverty begets crime, and until we can curb the issue of poverty, not only rich people but also the middle class do not want to live in areas that have higher risk of crime. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, but how does poverty start? Like, you're literally saying the reason why poverty starts. Like, that's such a fucking weird take. You're saying he's right, but like the underlying reason why poverty exists to begin with is literally what you're advocating against. Poverty doesn't start because people are lazy. Poverty isn't like created in a fucking vacuum because of like intrinsic qualities of a certain group of people, okay? if you believe that the socioeconomic conditions that people are subjected to are a consequence of like intrinsic, or a consequence of like intrinsic values, okay, then you might kind of be a racist. If you think that they are extrinsic values, then you acknowledge that systemic racism exists. Either or.
Benefits to fracking and to having the steel mill in your town?
The steel mill, they pay us taxes. The benefit to fracking, there is no benefit to fracking.
It's not yet clear how fracking
Variable
will
rate of
impact
tax on multiple houses could be a good workaround. I agree. I fucking doubt that you could ever pass that, because slumlords have so much capital. But more importantly, that would destroy the profit margin of hedge funds and private equity that own like all of these fucking massive developments, and they would never, ever, 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 ever in a million fucking years, in a gajillion years, ever allow that to happen.
the presidential election in Pennsylvania, but Biden's position isn't popular among union workers who rely on oil and gas companies for jobs. One of them is Sean Steffi, an organizer for the Boilermakers Union Local 154, and a loyal Democratic voter, at least until Trump's 2016 campaign. Your local union here endorsed President Trump.
Yep.
Why?
Pennsylvania is energy driven. We are the leader of electricity generation. We have.
Oh my God, this dude is just a thumb, dude. If he's not a union leader, this is a cop.
Of great
Hard.
resources.
Wait, is this the fucking mayor? Wait, is this the mayor I was talking about? Because I've never seen him. Wait. Oh no, he's not.
Leader of electricity.
I've never seen that dude, but I know that he's like a giant dude. I think he's like 6. No, not the girl that we're talking about. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm talking
about. We have great resources with gas and coal, and we need to see that move forward. And our beliefs and our feelings that President Trump can move this industry forward. And I don't think the Biden and Harris administration has anything that they want to move forward in fossil fuel industry. So that alone drives us.
How has
I was thinking of Fetterman. Yep. Mayor Braddock, John Fetterman. He's fucking crazy. Look at this dude. Are you guys ready for this? What the fuck? What just happened? I don't know how this dude's a human being. Like, he literally looks like he's not even a chud. He's a Democrat. He's actually woke as fuck. He's just pro fracking. He's actually a really, really, really fucking interesting dude. By the way, like, he is, or he's not the mayor. He's a lieutenant governor. Yeah, he's actually the lieutenant governor now. He is he's a very interesting guy. Yeah, Fetterman is absolute god, man. He's every murder that happened in Braddock while he was in office tattooed on his arm. So not woke? Bro, he used to be the mayor of Braddock. Dude, he is a really interesting guy. He's a really fucking interesting guy, dude. And a big Bernie bro, too. But loves Bernie, loves loves unionization, like actual lefty, but he's like, we got to do fracking in Pennsylvania. He's like, he was contemplating throwing his support behind Joe Biden because of Joe Biden's stance on fracking versus Bernie Sanders. Maybe he has a point, who knows? Well, no, his point is that it's the only fucking industry that exists there. I'm not saying he's right, by the way. I'm not. I'm not saying that he's right at all. His name is Hasan. No. His name is Big John. Big John Fetterman. His campaign ad from 2017, if you want to watch. Here.
For years, they watched on the sidelines as our jobs vanished. Many of these areas have still never recovered and never will unless I become president.
It's just such a fundamentally unjust situation that we have. Leadership in this country
He lost 120 pounds by cutting grains and sugar from his diet.
will turn around and use towns and places like mine as props. Donald Trump hasn't shown up since then, and he won't because he never cared about places like this. All these beautiful buildings became vacant because, compounded by the opioid crisis, the entire environment collapsed almost overnight. This area to me means everything. I've been the mayor of Braddock, Pennsylvania now for 12 years. By every metric, things have improved in Braddock. From a public safety standpoint, from a new businesses in the community standpoint, Braddock is much better off than it was 12 years ago. The tactics we've used in Braddock are just, most importantly, never giving up, working to make it a better, more safe, more just, more prosperous community. That's been our mandate, that's been our mantra. Got to get busy living or get busy dying. Local problems this large require a lot of help and assistance from higher levels of government, and we're not getting that right now. It's about getting a bigger platform, and that's why I'm running for lieutenant governor. I stand on my record. The things that we've done in Braddock over the last 12 years as mayor, restoring different opportunities, different amenities, we deserve better than just managing the decline. And I have to believe that we are better than that as a country. These places matter. They deserve to be believed in. They deserve to be helped.
He's the fucking man. But the problem is, like, so that used to be that used to be a coal town, right? So the problem is, like, it goes from a coal town to a fracking town. When that, or a steel town? Sorry. Okay, it goes from a, so PA is not just Pennsylvania and Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. No, there's a lot of fucking places like this. The problem, here's the problem. And this guy isn't just about vague platitudes, okay? Chill the fuck out. He is legit, I promise you. The problem is when you transition from a steel town to a fracking town, you had every opportunity in that circumstance to, at the very least, try to convert in some way, shape, or form from a steel town to an industry that at least supports manufacturing, I don't know, some kind of like renewable energy initiative. And the, or some kind of renewable energy, like some part of renewable energy, like building fucking, I don't know, building sun panels or some shit like that. But instead, the money is where fracking is. Where all the drug dealers get fentanyl, get busy living. Or solar panels, not sun panels. Okay, chat, I need you guys to fucking be easy on me. I went to bed at like 2 a.m. last night, and I woke up at 7 a.m. And I gotta say, Hasan, this is a pretty neoliberal take, to be honest. No, you're right. Instead of building manufacturing there, that is an industry that doesn't kill the planet, they should continue fracking and ruining their own water supply. You're right, because I'm a neoliberal for saying that. When the transition from being a fucking steel town with no jobs left whatsoever to a town that engages in fracking is the same kind of transition that you could absolutely move from being a steel town that is completely desolate to a town that manufactures any other product rather than fucking fracking. It's a hard change, but what you guys are failing to recognize here is that it's not like they're fucking born to frack, dog. Like, they weren't born as frackers, okay? They learned those skills. This is a gigantic problem with continuing to fund the oil and gas giants instead of using subsidies that, by the way, that take up 80% of subsidies that the government currently offers to energy production. Instead of taking all those subsidies, which, by the way, Joe Biden's campaign literally went back on, even though it was a fundamental part of their Green New Deal backed energy initiative, was to take away all subsidies from oil and gas giants, from fossil fuel producers, and use every single piece of subsidy towards green energy, renewable energy initiatives. But like, when all the money is still going to that industry, of course that's the industry that people are going to transition into. It's not like they had to fucking frack. It's not like that's the only available or appropriate manufacturing job or a job that they had in that region. The reason why they did that is because, one, there is a demand for it, and two, they had a lot of fucking money and could start fracking there. There was a willingness for it. This is such a bad take. How? How is this a bad take? I'm not even saying that we should retrain them. What I'm simply stating is it's not like they were born to fucking frack, idiot. They didn't get out of the womb knowing how to fucking frack, and that's the only thing they can do. My point is, if you keep giving money to the fossil fuel industry, if you keep subsidizing the fossil fuel industry's losses, then of course that's what people are going to fucking build. That's what people are going to focus on building all around the country. You didn't have a problem with retraining when they had no other job opportunities and now fracking came into their town. Unless you literally mean that these people have fracking skulls. And the only way they can survive is if there was a fracking job. And thank God a fracking job came over. Thank God they started fracking in their town.
They deserve to be believed in. They deserve to be helped. Fundamentally, as American society, we have to believe that things can get better. There's so much that we've done, but there's so much more that still has to happen. It's time we get to work.
It's probably hard to convert into a green industry where the resources aren't there from the federal government. I don't understand your take. Earlier you were for the people when talking housing, and now you're against people earning excess money and having a stable income. Why can't they just use fracking money to adjust to cleaner jobs? What? The only way to have renewable energy is by fracking first? Is that what you're saying? You think they didn't consider other fields? In middle America, in cities like this, they can't just pull $20 jobs out of their ass. Obviously, fracking isn't sustainable, but the means in which you are conveying this is learn to code, basically. No, you're trying your very fucking hardest to think that I'm saying, or to act like I'm saying learn to code when I'm literally not saying that. What I'm saying is the exact opposite. When fracking is the only alternative for them. I completely understand that. And I'm telling you what the fucking federal funding looks like that allows fracking to be the only alternative for them in that town and in many other towns all around America that have been forgotten long before fracking started. The only reason why learn to frack is not laughed at like learn to code is laughed at is because people don't assume that there's any other alternative there instead of fracking. There's no way to bring manufacturing jobs, or there's no way to bring any sort of fucking manufacturing there outside of fracking. There's no like green energy initiatives that they can participate in, like manufacture things for renewable energy. Retraining doesn't work. I know that. That's the unfortunate reality. But the other part of that reality is that these motherfuckers learned how to frack at some point, okay? Because there was money. Because the federal government makes it so that it's easier to focus on that as a form of developing new energy initiatives by way of subsidies. Hello. Do you understand the point I'm trying to make now? Retraining doesn't work, but they learn a new skill set. Retraining in the form of like learn the code is demonstrably always a failure. They learned a new skill set because they were forced to learn a new skill set after a decade of not having any sort of job opportunities. There's investment in fracking equals small town jobs. There's not investment in green jobs, no small town jobs. There is supposed to be investment in green jobs. Green jobs are, there are infinitely more green jobs available than fossil fuel jobs. It's a growing sector. We're going to have viable fusion power soon and still be getting most of our power from 1970s coal plants. Anyway.
His administration in the past 3.5 years impacted you all here in Pittsburgh?
Well, he has dropped some regulations on air and water and, the fracking, and that has pushed the industry forward.
How do you see fracking playing into this presidential election?
It's going to be huge in the state of Pennsylvania, okay? Fracking, coal, electricity generation, and just fossil fuels in general drives Pennsylvania. Okay, the jobs are here. Great blue-collar, family-sustaining jobs.
I love this dude.
Have been made possible by the fossil fuel industry.
What's the top voting issue for you in November?
Economy, jobs, and the fossil fuel industry. Listen, we're backing a Republican. I understand. There may be union issues. I'm 100% union. I believe in all the rights of unions. But the bottom line is, if I don't have a job, I can't fight for anything.